For most of our lives, we are taught a simple story. A story where humanity moves in a straight line. Millions of years ago, primitive ancestors appeared. One species slowly replaced another. And eventually, modern humans emerged as the final chapter of evolution. But what if that story was never complete? What if the history of humanity was not a straight path, but a forgotten wilderness of lost branches, hidden journeys, and vanished worlds? Because for most of human history, we were never alone. The Earth once belonged to many different kinds of humans. Not just us. Some survived in frozen landscapes where temperatures pushed life to its limits. Some crossed vast continents long before cities, kingdoms, or written history existed. Some built tools, controlled fire, cared for their families, and looked into the same night sky that we look at today. They were not monsters. They were not primitive failures. They were human. Just like us. And the most surprising discovery of all is that some of them never truly disappeared. Their story is still written inside our own bodies. Every human being alive today carries a hidden record of the past. A biological memory of ancient encounters, ancient migrations, and forgotten relatives who walked this planet thousands of years before us. For centuries, humans searched for answers about where we came from. Ancient civilizations created legends about our beginnings. They looked toward the heavens, toward nature, toward stories passed down through generations. But the real answers were waiting somewhere else. Beneath the ground. Inside forgotten caves. Buried beneath layers of earth and time. Slowly, scientists began uncovering pieces of a mystery that would change everything. The first major discoveries came during the 19th century. At that time, many people believed humans had always looked the way we do today. The idea that another type of human once walked the earth seemed almost impossible. But then archaeologists found something that challenged everything they believed. Ancient skulls. Strange bones. Remains of creatures that walked on two legs, but were clearly not modern humans. These discoveries raised a question that shook the scientific world. What if we were not the beginning of humanity? What if we were only one surviving branch of a much larger human family? The deeper scientists looked, the more complicated the story became. And one of the most fascinating chapters belonged to a group of humans who survived one of the harshest worlds Earth has ever known. The Neanderthals. For decades, their name carried a negative meaning. People imagined them as slow, primitive cave dwellers. Creatures with little intelligence, struggling in a brutal world. But that image was wrong. Modern discoveries revealed a completely different story. Neanderthals were survivors. They were hunters. They were innovators. They were humans adapted to an Earth that would challenge even the strongest among us. Imagine a frozen landscape tens of thousands of years ago. Northern Europe during the Ice Age. The wind moves across endless fields of snow. The air is sharp and freezing. Massive animals walk across the horizon. Woolly mammoths. Giant deer. Dangerous predators searching for their next meal. And somewhere in that frozen wilderness, a group of Neanderthal hunters moves silently. Their footsteps press into the snow. Their hands grip carefully crafted stone tools. They are watching, waiting, planning. Because survival in this world does not belong to the strongest alone. It belongs to those who can adapt. And the Neanderthals knew how to survive. Their bodies were different from ours. They were shorter on average, but incredibly powerful. Their bones were thicker. Their muscles were stronger. Their bodies were built like natural armor against the cold. Every part of them carried evidence of a life shaped by extreme conditions. But their greatest strength was not only in their bodies. It was in their minds. For a long time, people underestimated Neanderthals. But the evidence tells another story. They created advanced stone tools. They used fire. They developed hunting strategies. They understood their environment. They survived for hundreds of thousands of years. Think about that. A human species completely different from us, enduring through countless generations, while entire climates changed around them. Their existence alone proves something important. Human intelligence did not begin with us. But perhaps the greatest mystery is not how they lived. It is how they thought. Because behind those ancient bones, there was a person. Someone who felt pain. Someone who protected their family. Someone who depended on their group to survive. Archaeological discoveries suggest Neanderthals cared for injured members of their communities. Some remains belonged to individuals who could not have survived alone. Meaning someone stayed. Someone helped them. Someone chose compassion. A behavior we often think defines humanity itself. There are also signs that Neanderthals may have created symbolic objects and practiced rituals. They may have decorated themselves. They may have buried their dead. They may have searched for meaning in a world filled with danger. They were not mindless creatures living in darkness. They were people facing an incredibly difficult world. But then, something changed. Around 40,000 years ago, Neanderthals began disappearing from the fossil record. For many years, scientists believed the answer was simple. Modern humans arrived, and Neanderthals lost. But the truth appears far more complicated. The disappearance of the Neanderthals was not one single event. It was a combination of challenges. A changing climate, limited resources, small populations, competition with another human species moving into their lands, and perhaps an unexpected connection. Because when modern humans expanded beyond Africa, they did not simply replace Neanderthals. They met them. They lived beside them. And they shared something far more powerful than anyone once imagined. They had children together. Two different human species, meeting after thousands of years of separate evolution. And from that encounter, a part of the Neanderthals continued. Today, many people around the world carry small amounts of Neanderthal DNA. A hidden inheritance from a lost human relative. This means Neanderthals are not only ancient fossils behind glass. They are part of us. Inside our genes. Inside our history. Inside the story of who we became. But the Neanderthals were not the only lost humans to shape our world. Long before them, another human species began a journey that would transform the future of our entire family tree. They traveled farther than any human before them. They entered new continents. They survived unfamiliar environments. And they changed what it meant to be human. Their name was Homo erectus. And their story would become one of the greatest journeys in human history. But this was only the beginning. In the next chapter, we'll uncover how Homo erectus began one of the greatest migrations in human history. How early humans first learned to control fire. Which ancient human species started building shelters and mastering organized hunting. Why the mysterious hobbits of Flores Island stunned scientists. And how a single tiny finger bone completely changed everything we thought we knew about human evolution. These are the discoveries that prove the human family story is far more complex than we ever imagined. So be sure to join me in the next chapter, because the most astonishing discoveries in human history are still waiting to be revealed. If you enjoyed this documentary, don't forget to like, share, and subscribe to the channel, so you'll be the first to watch part 2 in every upcoming episode in this fascinating series. I'll see you in the next chapter.